Greetings. This is Black Light. I'm going to go just a little bit longer than I usually be going, maybe about 12 or 14 minutes, somewhere around there. And I'm going to start off by saying the reason why I'm doing this, what I do. I stated it before that I'm trying to get unity because I see all the moves that the enemy makes against us. And a lot of us don't look at the whole picture. We don't look at the past, the present, and the future. People say, well, you can't see in the future. You can see in the future. You can see in the future. How you do that? By focusing on the present. Just like this country right here. Where does this country want to go? Speaking of the United States. Well, first you see where the country have been. And this country, called the United States of America, was formed in 1776. But it's just on paper. I mean, it's just it was in the minds of those who formulated this country. But it was on paper. But it was a vision in their minds. And how they went about doing it. Was it righteous? Well, history says no. You know, they said no. The history tells us no. Now, this country was formed by a group of Caucasians. And they did it by any means necessary. Hook or crook. The foundation was very weak. It wasn't built to last. Now all these men that did the building were crooks. They were con men, shysters, and murderers. But yet still, they built it up. The people that they took it from and used were mentally, they were asleep because they weren't aware of what was going on around them. Until recently, they started waking it up. But somebody pulled their coat. Now, it was a group of brothers back. Marcus Garvey, Noble Drew Ali first. They had an inclination on how to do it. But then came one of supreme wisdom and put it in motion. Using the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now a lot of y'all don't agree with that. But he turned us back to our original culture and the way we did things. which was more of a righteous, in sync with the laws of the universe and the Most High. Because we were on top of this for not 200 years, not 300 years, but for trillions of years. They make up these words to describe the civilizations back in them days. Atlantis. But the most recent phenomenal civilization that were in the past was the Egyptian or the Kemet. They still can't figure out the mechanics of how they made pyramids and other things they made. So the Caucasian don't want to give the credit because he enslaved these people, which I'm a part of. He don't want to give us credit, you know. Now that he's ruling, running the planet, but he did it under trickery, hypnosis, and all types of psychology and con, and also murder. So he converted our people into his way of thinking. He tried to convert the so-called Native American, but they're holding on, but they had to submit to the power of the Caucasian. Firepower, that is. And one by one, all the darker people of the earth start submitting. So the black man was entrenched and still is entrenched in the culture of the Caucasian. Our women identify with the Caucasian woman because they don't, in the school system, they don't give you all the intricate history of the black man here in America. How he was breeded. So that's for y'all to, they're not going to teach you that in school. There are plenty books to tell you how he was breeded. Ken Norton got a movie out called Drum. They used to run, they had whole houses, breeding farms, where they had whole farms where, the plantation owners could go and buy them a black woman, even turn some of them into gays or homosexuals. They had a whole farms of homosexuals. Because the Caucasian, he wasn't too long out the caves. And a black man, civilized them. It's hard for y'all to believe. But you can't find that history in your school books, in college, nowhere else. But an outside source brought this kind of knowledge to us, named Master Farad Muhammad. Built up the Nation of Islam. Now, the enemy seeing that the Nation of Islam was gaining momentum, so he came with his overt and covert operations and put the Nation of Islam in check. So the momentum has slowed down just a taste, but now it's heading in another direction. And we got many different forms of Nation of Islam. Some of us hold fast to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and some of us going in the direction of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. But however it is, it's divided. Not only they are divided because Malcolm X, went away from the Nation of Islam. So he took a great deal of people with him. He went orthodox. Then you got Wallace D. Muhammad, the son of Elijah Muhammad. Took a great deal with him. So we had almost at a standstill in a way, even though it's still growing, but it's at a minimum. It's not where it was and where it used to be. So by observing all of this, you can tell where we're heading. You can tell what the future's gonna hold if we don't change it. Because in the cities where we once was working in harmony with each other, back in the 60s, now we divided, and the young ones are killing each other up over drugs, money, and sex. And so if this keeps up, we done went totally savage. And if it keeps up, we'll be turning on ourselves. The Caucasian, I could point out 3 times that he turned on himself. When he fought Hitler, I think that was World War II, and then the Civil War, then the Revolutionary War. But we warring every day with each other, in every city. And every black nationalist group, every church group, because the Baptists don't like the Methodists, and the Methodists don't like the Sanctified, and the Catholic don't like this. So we're not practicing righteousness. So I just gave you something to think about. And this is why I'm doing this. I'm trying to plant ideas in your mind so we could unite and civilize ourselves and turn this thing around. Because if the Caucasian is unrighteous and we done turn unrighteous, then who gonna check us? Who gonna put us in check? God ain't coming out the sky no more. He done came already. He done came. So the righteous gotta patrol the neighborhoods. We gotta do it. After we check ourselves, we got to check ourselves, make sure that we are on our square. Black light.